Okay, this is stretch one, right? These are some basic stretches that you can do to loosen up your hamstrings, loosen up your back and your core, and hopefully have a good night's sleep. So put these together for you so that you can go here and push play and then just follow me. So this is going to take 10 minutes or 15 minutes, somewhere in there. We're going to go nice and easy. The first thing is a big breath up, feet are together. You're going to breathe. You're going to put your hands all the way together at the top. Turn your palms up and push those palms toward the ceiling. So I'm elongating my body, pushing up toward the ceiling. And then I'm going to release, and as I release, breathe out. We'll go again. Breathing in all the way up, push the palms toward the ceiling. Now we're going to lean slightly over and come back to the middle and lean slightly over. As you do this, you want to feel that stretch across your sides, down your lats, and down into your hip. Come back to the middle and a big breath out. One more time. Breathe in. Push those palms up. Stretch the front of the body. So I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be palms up, and I'm going to put them slightly behind my head and sort of stick out my tummy so that I stretch my front side. And then I'm going to breathe out. Now from here, we're going to go down toward the floor and begin working on our legs. But I want you to bend over, hinge at the waist, and sort of look forward. That keeps a nice straight back. Okay, I'm just showing you the position. Right, once you get halfway down, look down and then relax. You're going to go all the way down. This is going to be a rounded back. So we started with a straight back, and then we relaxed to a rounded back. Now the focus here, I like to kind of, you can see, I like to kind of wiggle my hips and kind of let my back settle in. My legs are straight, my knees are not bent. Now, here's the thing. If you can't go down all the way, I want you to lock out your knees and go down as far as you can go, only as long as your knees are straight. Once your knees bend or buckle, that's your limit, okay? So if you can only go down this far, I want you to stay right there and let those hamstrings stretch. And I want you to even not really push on the knees, but kind of flex the quads, flex the legs, and it will straighten those knees up, right? The longer you do this, the more you'll be able to go down all the way. I want you to focus on the back of the legs, coming up the hamstrings first, okay? Focus there, mentally focus there. You're gonna feel it all over, but mentally focus on the calves and the hamstrings, okay? Let those hips wiggle a little bit and settle in. Hopefully fingertips can touch the floor or touch your ankles, right? You may be at the shins, you may be at the knees, whatever. Here and down. Now I want you to mentally transition to your lower back. Let this same stretch focus on your lower back. The way you can do that slightly is if I'm hanging here and I'm relaxed, I can simply raise the middle of my back up like I'm gonna let my head hang, and I'm raise the middle of my back up just a little bit, and I will feel more of a stretch in my lower back. Right? Versus down here, it's all in my hamstrings. If I come up just slightly, I'll start to feel it more in my lower back. And then I want you to roll up really slow, letting the head be the last thing to come up. It takes about a 10-second count to come all the way up. You feel that through every vertebrae. And then a big raise of the arms and push those palms all the way up and stretch and elongate the body all the way up. And then big breath out and relax. Now, we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to tweak a few things. Okay? So we're going to stretch way up. This time we're going to swan dive. Use your hands. As I go down, you can see my back is nice and straight, like I'm swan diving into a pool, and then I'm relaxing at the very bottom. Now here's where we're going to tweak it. We're going to come up to flat back, right? The way I do this is simply raise my shoulders and my head. I'm going to look about 6 feet in front of me. And what you're going to feel in your hamstrings, you're going to feel a little more of a stretch in your hamstrings. The more I raise my shoulders, if I raise the middle of my back, the stretch goes to my lower back. But if I raise my shoulders and my face, I'm going to feel it more in my hamstrings and my glutes. Okay, so we're coming up to half back. Okay, this is where I'm a tabletop. I could put a tray of water on my back and then not fall, nice and straight, right? I'm trying to flex my legs so that my legs are not bent, but they're flexed and straight. This makes maximum stretch on my hamstrings. And then I'm going to relax. Again, put the focus in my lower back and in my hamstrings. And then I'm going to roll up. Head is the last thing to come up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to raise up. Push the palms toward the ceiling and breathe out. Now, okay, we're going to continue to work on the hamstrings because they're always the biggest thing. But we're going to do one that's slightly different. We're going to put our hands on our waist like this. Our posture is nice and straight. Our hips are straight, pointed straight forward. I'm going to step 1 foot forward, right, about that far. Okay, I'm going to keep my hips straight because what wants to happen usually is when I put 1 foot forward, my hips want to shift and sort of relax. I want to straighten up my hips. I'm going to keep my hands right here, and I want to bow from the waist, hinge from the waist, looking forward. Now what you're going to feel, this is what it looks like from the side. Okay, I'm going to bow and look forward. You're not going to be able to get very far on this. You probably won't be able to get halfway down even, because what happens is I've now really stretched out that front leg, hamstring, and this is how we get all the way into the butt with the stretch. Okay, so we just hold it here for a second. Again, you're only coming down as far as your knee will allow you. Once your knee buckles and you can't keep it back, that is as far down as you need to go. All right, so try to flex the leg and push the knee. Don't physically push it, but push it back with your muscles, right? And hold it there. If you can come down further, great. If you can't, that's fine. Come down as far as you can and hold and let that stretch all the way up into your glute. And then when you're ready to be done, we're going to bend the knee and release that muscle and come up. Then you have to do the other side. Step forward, straighten the hip, and bow over only as far as your knee will allow. And then come out of that, right? Now you can do these stretches with feet about shoulder width apart, feet together, or even vary it up and feet wide. But what you don't want to do is if you go feet wide, don't turn your toes out. Keep your feet parallel like you're standing on two railroad track rails, and you can go down and you can stretch. And all it does is it changes your hip position, and you might, that might feel good for you. Okay, so that is probably the biggest stretch you need to do every day, probably in the mornings, probably at night. But I'm going to take you into a couple of more. All right, we're going to go down. I hope you'll be able to see. We're going to do a glute stretch, right, which is pretty simple. A couple of ways to do this. So I'm going to give you a couple of options. One is to simply cross your leg over and hold this foot with your arm and lean forward, right? Kind of pulling like that. Okay, this is very simple to do. Okay, you're going to feel that right here on that glute. There's another one. You can pull and lean forward. If you want, you can grab your front foot. You may not be able to, but if you can, you'll definitely feel that in your glute. That's one option. Another option is what we call pigeon. This is where you get on your hands and knees on all fours. You slide one knee forward, bring the foot to the side, right? You may not be able to get it very much to the side, but the goal is to get it 90 degrees, and that back leg is going straight back, shoelaces down, and then you want to sit down and get your butt as close to the floor. Now what this looks like from the side is, looks like this. I have my chest up. This is probably one you have to work on a bit, but I'm putting it in here so you can work on it, right? This is very much stretching the glute and the butt, which is gonna help the lower back. And then when you got this position pretty well, you go on down with your elbows down on the floor. Now, you want to do this on both sides. I'm going to change position of the legs. And the idea is to get this crotch as close to the floor as you can and get that butt cheek in the back as close as you can to the floor. And just kind of sit down in that. Always keeping this leg going straight back. Don't let it get relaxed and get wobbly like this. Okay, this is not it. You want to be up, knee down to the floor, shoelaces down with that back leg, kind of supporting yourself with the front arms and trying to push that butt down as much as you can. And you get down lower when you can get into that position. Okay? Now, that's the best glute stretch I know. But the options are, let me give you one other option. I have to change the camera angle here. I'm going to show you how you could do this in a chair. right? So the way you do this in a chair is simply cross the leg like we did earlier. And if you need to, put this leg down, cross the leg, and then move that foot back, lifting, lifting, right? Hold on to this foot and lean forward. You can even use this leg to pull forward. As soon as you do this, you're going to feel this in your glute, and it does very much the same as the pigeon pose on the floor. Now, this one might be hard. You might have to sit here and lean forward slightly. But basically, the more you lean forward, the more that glute is going to stretch, and it's going to get a little bit of your hamstring too. Whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other. Hold on to this foot, pull or hold on, or wrap your arm around this knee so that it allows you to lean forward. Go very slow on these so you can feel the stretch, but pull yourself into them. Do not go fast. All of this is very slow moving until you get much looser. Okay? Another one you can do, straight legs out and simply lean forward, hands going to the floor. This does pretty much like the hangover pose, so you know, if you got that, that's the best one really. Okay, now for your back. We did these at your house. I'm gonna sit like this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bring up our right leg, get on top of the knee with the left arm. I'm gonna take my right arm, put it straight up to the side, lay back, pull my right knee over to the left side. I'm gonna keep my shoulder and my elbow and my hand on the floor. And then I'm gonna look to my right side. So right now I've got my right knee going over to my left side. I've got my right arm extended out to the right, and I'm looking to the right. So now my spine is in a compound twist. I hold this for a few seconds, few big breaths. Basically, as you breathe in, you can release and come up a little bit. As you breathe out, you can take it down. Back to the middle and release. And then I'm going to take my other leg. And I'm going to go to the other side. Oh, man. This is the best back stretch ever. My arm is trying to stay on the floor over here. That keeps my spine and my shoulders at the top, pointing in the right direction. I'm now looking to my left. Left arm is out. I'm looking to my left. And I release that. Now, you may want to do that several times, right? And you can take your knee down a little lower each time, and maybe not spend so much time each time you do. One over to the side, and release it. Now, there's one here I like. It's called Happy Baby. It's simply put your feet up in the air. I'm going to run my arms between my knees, right? Between my knees, and grab the outside of my feet. And I'm going to roll just a little. May or may not be able to do this one because you're back, but it's sort of a massage for your back. Okay? Now, we're going to go to child pose, which is all fours. I'm going to let my butt come down to my ankles. I'm going to put my arms straight out in front, lock them into position, and let my forehead go to the ground. A couple of big breaths here. Now I'm going to leave my left hand right where it is. Take my right hand, put it on top of my left, go back down. My right is on top of my left hand. I'm going to push my right side out to the right and stretch my whole right side. And release. Come back, put my left hand on top of my right and push my left side all the way out. And release. Come back up. Do what we call cat-cow. This is where my belly is going to go toward the floor, and I'm going to raise my head. Couple of breaths. And then I'm going to tuck my chin down and arch my back as high as I can get it. So I'm stretching my back. That's called cat. And then we're going to go back to cow all the way down. Breathe out all the way up. A couple of times up and down. Come back to neutral, right? And then kind of relax. Okay, from here now is got to figure out the best way to get up. Basically, that's all the stretches. But you can put your foot up. Put your foot up like that. Come up. And then with your head and shoulders come up first and stand. And there is your stretching. This was 22 minutes long. It really wouldn't take that long. But if you're going nice and slow and really getting deep on some of those stretches, 20 minutes is a good stretch. All right. Love you. Bye.